Ever get that feeling, like after you've just finished a whole Bond movie marathon, that you should be stashing all your retirement savings in like some gleaming vault surrounded by gold bars? Okay, maybe that's just me. But seriously, we are talking about gold today. Gold IRAs specifically.
Right.
And even more specifically than that, those kind of mysterious figures known as gold IRA custodians.
Yes.
So I think it's safe to say that if you're listening to this, you're curious about these custodians, and for good reason. They're a must-have with the gold IRA, but not everyone really understands, what they do, why they're necessary, or even how to even begin choosing one.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to dig in as we unearth the ins and outs of gold IRA custodians?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Before we get into like the nitty-gritty of custodians, let's just do a quick recap of what a gold IRA actually is. And at the most basic level, it's all about diversifying your retirement portfolio.
Yeah.
With something tangible.
Yeah.
Physical gold.
Right. It's not just like, numbers on a screen.
Exactly.
With a gold IRA, we're talking about holding actual physical gold coins, bars, the real deal, as part of your retirement savings. And this is where it gets different from, your regular IRA that's filled with stocks and bonds, because you can't just keep those gold bars under your mattress.
Exactly. And that's where custodians enter the picture. I have to admit, the first time I heard about needing a custodian for a gold IRA, I was a little puzzled. I mean, why all the fuss?
It's all about the IRS, really.
Oh, of course.
They have very specific rules about gold IRAs. And the big one is that your gold, it has to be held in a secure IRS-approved depository. It can't just be sitting in your basement. No matter how much you might want to channel your inner dragon with a hoard of gold.
So it's like a high-security, specialized storage unit for your retirement gold, all overseen by someone fluent in IRS regulations.
Precisely.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense.
And that someone is your custodian.
Okay.
They're essential for ensuring your investment stays on the right side of the law, but they also handle a lot of the complexities of owning physical gold within a retirement account. So think of them as the bridge between you and that secure vault. They act as your agent, managing the account, dealing with the paperwork, and ensuring all transactions comply with IRS rules.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit further. We've established that a custodian is non-negotiable with a gold IRA.
Right.
But what does that look like practically? What are they actually doing for you, like day to day or year to year, I guess, with your gold?
That's a great question because it's more than just holding on to the gold. First off, custodians will help you set up the gold IRA itself, which includes establishing what's called a self-directed IRA.
Hold on. A self-directed IRA.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of intimidating. Is this where I need to suddenly become a financial whiz?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Essentially, a self-directed IRA simply gives you more control over your investments.
Okay.
It allows you to hold alternative assets like physical gold, which wouldn't be allowed in a traditional IRA. So think of it as choosing your own adventure, but for your retirement savings. You get to decide where your money goes.
I like it.
Including those shiny gold bars. But don't worry, the custodian is there to guide you through the entire process, make sure everything is set up correctly.
Ah, that makes me feel better. So the custodian helps with the self-directed IRA setup, but what else? I'm guessing handling the actual purchase of the gold is part of their job description?
Absolutely. Once your self-directed IRA is established, they'll facilitate the purchase of your gold, based on your instructions, of course. And after that, they are responsible for storing it securely in a depository, managing any administrative tasks, and even handling the eventual distribution of your gold when you retire. Basically, they're your partners in navigating the kind of intricacies of owning physical gold within a retirement account.
So they bring peace of mind.
Yes.
Knowing someone else is dealing with those intricacies.
Sure.
That sounds pretty appealing, actually. But like with any financial decision, I imagine there are downsides or things to watch out for when it comes to custodians.
Oh, absolutely.
You're absolutely right. It's rarely all sunshine and roses in the world of finance.
Right.
And while custodians can sound like a dream come true, when you're wading through the complexities of a gold IRA, there are some potential downsides and trade-offs to consider. And I'm guessing fees are at the top of that list.
Fees are definitely a key factor to consider. Like any custodian services don't come for free.
Right.
And those costs can eat into your returns over time.
Which is why I'm all ears for any tips on navigating those fees.
Sure. The most important thing is to be informed and to shop around. Don't just go with the first custodian you find or assume all fees are created equal. You'll want to get a really clear picture of their fee structure up front.
So we're talking like a detailed breakdown of what they charge and for what.
Exactly. Common fees include setup fees for establishing your account, storage fees for the secure holding of your gold, transaction fees whenever you buy or sell gold within the IRA,
Okay.
and sometimes even annual maintenance fees just for having the account.
It's interesting that you mentioned storage fees. It makes sense, of course,
Yeah.
but it never occurred to me that the actual cost of storing physical gold would be a factor. How much were you talking about here, roughly? I imagine it varies, but just give me a ballpark figure.
You're right. It does vary based on the custodian, the amount of gold you're storing, and the type of storage.
Okay.
But just to give you an idea, you might be looking at an annual storage fee of around 0.5% to 1% of the value of your gold. So if you had, say, $100,000 worth of gold in your IRA,
Right.
you could be paying anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per year just for storage.
Wow, okay, those storage fees can really add up. Definitely something to keep in mind when comparing custodians. Are there any other sort of sneaky fees people should watch out for?
Yeah, some custodians might have additional fees for things like account closings, transferring your assets to another custodian, or even inactivity fees
Oh,
if
interesting.
you haven't bought or sold gold within a certain time frame.
Wow.
So the key takeaway here is to really read the fine print and compare those fee schedules meticulously. Don't be afraid to ask questions and make sure you understand exactly what you're paying for.
Right.
Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your nest egg.
It sounds like due diligence is key. Now, we touched on another potential downside earlier. The limited control you have over your assets within a gold IRA. Let's dive into that a bit deeper. I get why there are rules. We're talking about retirement savings, after all, not a short-term investment. But walk me through those limitations. What can't you do with a gold IRA that you might expect to with other investments?
Sure. The main thing is that you generally can't just access your gold whenever you want.
Okay.
Remember those IRS regulations? They have strict rules regarding withdrawals and distributions from gold IRAs.
Right, those ever-present IRS regulations.
Exactly.
So if I suddenly decided I needed a gold bar to, buy groceries, not that anyone accepts gold bars at the supermarket these days, I'd be out of luck.
Well, you'd encounter a couple of roadblocks.
Okay.
First, there's the issue of actually getting your hands on the gold.
Right.
You can't just stroll into the depository and demand a withdrawal. These depositories are highly secure facilities with strict protocols in place.
Right. Makes sense.
They're designed to protect your investment, so casual access isn't really an option.
Makes sense. I wouldn't want it to be too easy to get to.
Exactly. Now, even if you could somehow bypass the depository's security measures, you'd run into the second and arguably bigger roadblock. The IRS.
Oh?
They impose a 10% penalty
Okay.
on early withdrawals from any retirement account, including gold IRAs, if you withdraw funds before the age of 59 and a half.
Right.
And on top of that penalty, you'd still have to pay regular income taxes on the amount withdrawn.
Ouch. So not exactly a cost-effective way to satisfy those late-night gold cravings.
Right.
But I imagine there are exceptions to the rules. What if you have a genuine emergency?
There are some exceptions to the 10% early withdrawal penalty, such as for certain medical expenses, disability, or using the funds for a first-time home purchase.
Okay.
But even then, you'd still likely owe taxes on the distribution.
Right.
So the bottom line is that gold IRAs, like any retirement account, are designed for long-term savings, and accessing your funds before retirement comes with significant financial consequences.
So it sounds like a gold IRA is not for the faint of heart or those prone to impulse decisions.
Right.
You really need to be committed to the long game,
Yes.
understanding those limitations going in.
Absolutely. Now, with all that said, it's important to note that there are situations where those limitations might actually be seen as advantages.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
For some people, the restricted access can actually be a form of protection, believe it or not. It prevents impulsive withdrawals and ensures that the funds are truly there when they need them for retirement. It's a way of safeguarding your future self from any short-term temptations.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. It's like a built-in commitment device. I like that.
Exactly.
Keep your future self on track.
Yeah.
So to summarize, while those limitations might seem like a drawback, at first glance, they can actually offer a layer of protection against those impulsive decisions.
Right.
I like that. It's all about perspective.
Precisely. It's about aligning your investment choices with your overall financial goals and temperament.
Which leads us, I think, to the big question we've been circling around this whole time.
Yeah.
Is a gold IRA, with all its intricacies and the need for a custodian, the right fit for you and your retirement strategy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It all comes down to your individual circumstances, your risk tolerance, your investment goals, all of that.
Okay, so no easy answers,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't leave you hanging without at least some guidance. If someone is listening to this, intrigued by the idea of gold, but maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by the custodian situation, what are some key questions they should be asking themselves to determine if a gold IRA is the right path?
That's a great question. Well, I think first and foremost, they need to consider their overall investment strategy. What are they hoping to achieve with their retirement portfolio? Are they looking for diversification, a hedge against inflation, or something else entirely?
Right, because gold isn't just some shiny object.
Right.
It has a specific role to play in a diversified portfolio.
Exactly. And that role is often, most beneficial during periods of economic uncertainty. When traditional markets are volatile, gold tends to hold its value or even appreciate, acting as what they call a safe haven asset.
So someone with, say, a higher risk tolerance, comfortable with market fluctuations, might not feel the need for gold stability?
Exactly. On the other hand, someone who's particularly concerned about inflation eroding their purchasing power over time, they might find gold to be a very appealing addition to their portfolio. It's all about understanding how gold behaves in different economic climates and aligning that with your personal risk profile.
Okay, so understanding your personal risk tolerance and how gold fits into that is crucial.
Yes.
What else should our listeners be considering?
Well, we've talked a lot about custodians, and for good reason. They're an integral part of owning a gold IRA. So if someone is leaning towards a gold IRA, they need to be comfortable with the idea of entrusting their gold to a third party. They'll want to thoroughly research different custodians, compare fees, read reviews, and make sure they're comfortable with the level of security and service offered.
Excellent point. Choosing the right custodian is just as important as choosing the right investment. But what about someone who they like the idea of gold, but they aren't quite ready to dive into the complexities of a gold IRA?
Yeah.
And the custodian situation? Are there alternative ways to get gold exposure within a retirement account?
Absolutely. There are other options, such as investing in what are called gold-backed securities within a traditional IRA. These securities are essentially investments that track the price of gold. They offer a more indirect way to gain exposure to the precious metal without the hassle of physical ownership and the need for a custodian.
So you still get that, golden touch in your portfolio, but with potentially less hassle and lower fees.
Potentially, yes.
That's a great point. It's all about weighing the pros and cons of each approach and finding the right fit for your individual needs and comfort level.
Well, I have to say, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the purpose of gold IRA custodians and the services they provide, the fees they charge, the limitations they impose, and even alternative ways to incorporate gold into your retirement strategy.
We really have.
We've really dug deep.
Yes, we have. And I think the key takeaway here is that, as always, knowledge is power. The more informed you are about gold IRAs, custodians, and the broader world of gold investing, the better equipped you'll be to make decisions that align with your financial goals.
Absolutely.
And remember, this deep dive is just the beginning of your journey. We've provided you with, hopefully, a solid foundation, but there's always more to learn. The article we've included in the show notes has links to specific custodians and additional resources to kind of, fuel your research. Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final kind of thought-provoking question. It's something to ponder as you continue your research.
Yeah.
Imagine for a moment a scenario where the value of the U.S. dollar experiences a significant decline. How might that impact the value of assets held within a gold IRA, especially compared to traditional assets like stocks and bonds?
It's a scenario worth considering as you weigh your options and make decisions about the long-term health of your retirement portfolio. And with that, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. Remember, knowledge is your most valuable asset, so keep asking questions, stay curious, and never stop exploring the possibilities. Until next time, happy investing.